Back for more ground and pound, striking from ground positions. This time, we're doing a technique called hammer and peel to a corkscrew elbow. From the closed guard position, when our opponent has us in head and arm control, when he's holding our head with one hand and our arm with the other hand, or our head or our neck actually. So, similar to the last one, but we have a follow-up technique at the end of it. Is this in the middle here good enough? Okay. So, yeah, you got my head, yeah, and my arm. He's trapped my head and his arm with both his hands. His right hand is holding my neck and his left hand is holding my right arm. So what I do here is I use my free hand. Well, it's pretty free. He's grabbed my arm, but I'm still free to hit with it. And I hit with a hammer fist. The side of my fist here, or even better yet, probably the little finger side of your wrist bone here. That will hurt even more. So, striking with hammer fist or hammer wrist, and at the same time, I want to insert my fingers under his, and then peel his hand away. Now he says you're supposed to grab the wrist here in a one-on-one, which you can do. And so you've been pounding him in the face, you peeled off his hand, now your head's free. What you're gonna do, you're gonna keep holding this wrist, but you're gonna boom with a corkscrew elbow right to the face. Okay, now, before we show you another angle here, I'll just remind you what a corkscrew angle is. Or corkscrew elbow, I mean. A corkscrew elbow is slightly different than a cross elbow. It's like an overhand punch from boxing kind of, but you use your elbow as a striking surface instead. Instead of a cross elbow that comes straight horizontally, the corkscrew elbow it's a diagonally descending strike at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so we'll switch to another angle here. We'll have your head facing the camera this time. Yep, right facing the camera a bit more. More that way. Yep, there we go. And he's got me in his closed guard again with his ankles crossed behind my back. He's holding my neck with his right arm. He's holding my left arm with his left hand. I hammer his face with my wrist, my hammer fist or my wrist, the little finger side of my hand or my wrist bone here in the face. At the same time, I insert my fingers under his and peel off. From here, I can grab his wrist in a one-on-one. A one-on-one is just one of my wrists grabbing one of his wrists, and I throw a corkscrew 45-degree elbow downward onto his face without letting go of his wrist here. So just boom. Okay, so one more time from this angle. He's got my head and my arm. I start hammering the face. I grab here. I insert my fingers under his, peel his hand off, grab his wrist, and throw an elbow. A corkscrew elbow to the face. Other side, one more angle. Head facing that way, yeah. His ankles are crossed behind my back in the closed guard. He's got my head and my arm. And I start hammering him in the face with my hammer fist or my wrist. At the same time, I insert my fingers under his fingers and I peel his hand off the back of my neck or the back of my head. And I can grab his wrist now in a one-on-one. And from here, without letting go of the wrist, I use the same arm grabbing his wrist to throw an elbow, a corkscrew elbow strike, 45 degrees downward into his face. And that technique, once again, is called the hammer and peel to a corkscrew elbow from the closed guard when my opponent is holding my head and my neck and the head and arm control.